الله أكبر الله أكبر.
Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Welcome to the series of Friday sermon discussions brought to you by Mujahid MKA UK Tarbiyyat Department on the Friday sermons delivered by Hazrat Ameerul Momineen. I'm delighted to be joined by Mohtamim Tarbiyyat UK, Atiq Rahman Sahib. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to you, Atiq Sahib.
Assalam Qasim Sahib, how are you doing? Okay?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you today?
Yeah, very good. Very, very good.
Over to you with a summary of yesterday's khutbah.
Jazakallah. So, Assalamu alaikum, everybody. So, in terms of a quick overview of Huzoor's Friday sermon, again, I think just to put it into context, some of the challenges that I found in my early time when listening to Huzoor's Friday sermon has always been fully understanding everything. And I think Huzoor made it clear that to really kind of get the beauty of the Friday sermon and the knowledge that is required, you have to go back and really kind of invest your time into it, listen to it again, read the context that Review of Religions also send out as well, and really analyze the Friday sermon to get a really good understanding and grounding of what Huzoor is trying to tell us and the message that Huzoor gives us. And if I'm being honest, look, Huzoor spends about 10 hours writing a Friday sermon. So for me to spend about half an hour or 45 minutes of my time to really kind of delve into it, I think is easily achievable. In terms of this Friday sermon, the one that Azure delivered was covering various battles. And again, I think looking into each battle individually and going kind of deeper into it, I think you really start to see the beauty of the Friday sermon and in terms of what Azure is trying to get across to us, and especially the Khudam of today as well, and the message to externals as well, to an extent. And I'm sure there's loads of other messages as well, which other people have pulled out, but I've just picked out one or two which I wanted to touch upon. So the Friday sermon was covering a couple of examples of a couple of battles that took place during the time of Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu. And I think the key thing I think Huzoor was trying to, number one, reiterate was that Muslims never fight for land or religious wars, which has always been, the context or the description that people have given. That a lot of the wars that have been fought in the past by Muslims have always been religious wars. You fought it for land and this, but they haven't. And Azure has beautifully given a number of examples, which really highlights actually how all of the battles that have been fought have all been defensive battles, and have all been battles which were in need of that specific moment in time. So the first one I'll talk about is the Battle of Gundeshapur. Again, a beautiful example that Hazur's given there of where actually, Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu was upholding the agreement which was given at the time, even though the sign of peace that was delivered was not from a Muslim. Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu still stuck to the word, which was that we will agree to whatever has been done, which basically resulted in peace. So again, I think Huzoor really outlining that war was battle, and war was never really kind of something which anyone wanted to do. And Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu especially was not fond of it and wanted to steer clear of it. And any opportunity that arose to go closer to peace, Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu always made sure that he tried to capture that. The second example is the conquest of Iran. And again, the first question that Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu asked when the army, when the Muslim army came to see him, was, have the agreements that have been put in place by the Muslims, were they being fulfilled by the Muslims? So the question wasn't on the Iranians, it wasn't on the opposing people, it was actually on the Muslims themselves. And they had obviously told Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu that no, we are upholding all of the agreements, we are following our end of the bargain essentially. But they were then questioning that, look, we've been told by you not to start any warfare. The Iranians are causing a lot of trouble. They are causing havoc. But again, you've informed us of not to start any warfare, and which is why we have stayed where we are. We have not progressed forward. And again, a beautiful example highlighting, I think, two key things. And number one, reiterating the fact that Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu wanted to avoid wars, wanted to avoid battles wherever he could, and any opportunity to have some sort of peace. He was always at the forefront of trying to drive that. But the second one was obedience. I think again it really highlights how this army, they were being troubled by the Iranians on a regular basis. They saw that the Iranians were living free and living in their land and doing whatever they wanted to do, but they still followed the word of Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu, and there was just pure obedience there, regardless of what challenges they faced. The final example I want to give is the Battle of Nahavan. And again, this is another beautiful example of obedience, which I think a lot of Khaddam can really kind of take on board, especially with the challenging times that we've had in the day to day. So, Hazrat Umar gave a really inspiring speech for this battle specifically, and it was to inspire the Muslims to go into battle against an army that was close to 40,000 strong. Now, as you can imagine, some of the challenges that we face today in our lives, we struggle when we have to wake up in the morning to go to work, or we potentially lost our job, let's say, for example. And again, that's a bit of a challenge for us, and we kind of strive to find ways out of that. These Muslims had to go into battle, potentially lose their lives, knowing that they were outnumbered, but yet they still followed Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu and the word of Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu, and the result of it was they were successful. And Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu prayed for every single individual that died in the battle, and he thanked God for the victory. But again, the battle was to ensure that they could focus on peace and really have justice and make sure that the harmony of that land was better fulfilled rather than the challenges that they were facing. So look, Huzoor gave some amazing examples of a number of battles during the Friday sermon. I think if we all look into it, especially Khaddam, really look into it and delve into what the meanings are and what Huzoor's trying to explain, the key ones to take away is number one, it is that the wars that were fought back in the days by Muslims were not for land, were not for any sort of power. They were all defensive wars, and these are beautiful examples of that. The second one is obedience, and I think that has been so pertinent in today's day and age, where with COVID and the situation that we all have been in, we still have to make sure that we have that full faith in Khilafat, and we follow Huzoor's words, and we follow what Huzoor says and the guidance that Huzoor gives us, because he is rightly guided by God. And the final one is actually, I think, is pertinent in terms of what Huzoor's talked about in his Friday sermon in regards to what's going on in the world today. If we look at Afghanistan, if the people there would follow the example of Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu, for example, there would definitely be more justice. At the moment, there are wars being fought in the name of religion as such. There are the Taliban that are doing whatever they are doing. But actually, are they following the Islamic principles? Are they following the example of the Holy Prophet ﷺ? Are they following the example of Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu? No, they're not. And this is why there is trouble in the land. So again, I think this Friday sermon is a really good example for not just every Khadim, but also for all the externals out there as well.
Absolutely. And Jazakallah to you, Muhtarim Sahib, for eloquently summarizing what Huzoor's mentioned. I think one point that really resonated with me was around Hazrat Umar, and even the significance of this series. Hazrat Umar was a well-respected man. He was a strong man even before he accepted Islam, and yet his appetite for peace overrode anything else. Even when he had a strong army at his disposal, his main objective was to maintain peace, which is ultimately the meaning of Islam. And that's what's being mentioned by Huzoor and re-emphasized to the whole world, and especially towards the Ahmadi Muslims. Jazakallah again to you, Atiq Saab. So the regular viewers of this program will know that we end with an extract from Huzoor's khutbah, and towards the end of the khutbah, Huzoor mentioned some funeral prayers in absentia.
इस वक्त मैं बाज़ मरहूमीन का भी जिक्र करूँगा और उनका जनाजा भी पढ़ाऊँगा जुमे की नमाज के बाद। इनका पहला जो है वो मोहम्मद दियांतोनो साहिब इंडोनेशिया के हैं, जो 15 जुलाई में 44 साल की उम्र में वफ़ात पा गए थे। इन्ना लिल्लाहि व इन्ना इलैहि राजिऊन। इनकी अहलिया ने लिखा कि मरहूम एक गैर अहमदी ख़ानदान में पैदा हुए, लेकिन आपको बचपन से मस्जिद जाने का शौक़ था और वो दूसरे बच्चों से अलग थलग थे। देर देर तक मस्जिद में रहना, इस्लाम की तालीम सीखना और अल्लाह ताला का ज़िक्र करना उन्हें पसंद था। कहते थे कि सब उनके लिए हकीकी नेमत थी, تاکہ اللہ تعالیٰ کا قرب حاصل ہو جائے۔ گاؤں میں ان کا ایک دوست تھا جو احمدی تھا، جو یہ ہائی اسکول میں پڑھتے تھے تب ان کے اس دوست سے جماعت کے بارے میں ان کو پتہ چلا۔ مصروف نے جماعت چلی دو اور چیریگون میں بیعت کی۔ جب ان کے والد صاحب کو ان کی بیعت کا پتہ چلا تو انہیں بہت غصہ آیا اور گھر سے نکال دیا، کہ وہ سمجھتے تھے کہ ان کا بیٹا گمراہ ہو گیا۔ بہرحال گھر کا دروازہ بھی نہیں کھولا جاتا تھا ان کے لیے، باہر ان کو سونا پڑتا تھا۔ کچھ دیر یہ اسی طرح چلتا رہا، پھر کچھ معاف بھی کر دیا، گھر آنے بھی لگ گئے۔ اللہ تعالیٰ ان سے مغفرت و رحم کا سلوک فرمائے۔ ان سب کو جیسا کہ میں نے کہا نماز جنازہ نماز جمعہ کے بعد ادا کروں گا۔